Welcome to Badtime Story, a place where every story invites you to feel the darkness and thrilling tension. In this episode, we will dive into the mystery that surrounds the Rinto family's new home. After they moved to a location that seemed peaceful and beautiful, the natural wonder of the mountains turned out to hold a dark secret that was ready to terrorize. From the disappearance of the youngest Vaninis at dusk, to the warnings from Mr. August, who was full of questions, the family soon realized that their new life was not as safe as they had imagined. With each passing second, mysteries began to be revealed, and what seemed like a sanctuary turned into an arena of unexpected horror. Are you ready to dive into the depths of darkness that lurks behind doors that are never locked? Do you dare to accompany Rinto and his family on this terrifying journey? Get ready, because tonight we will reveal the horror that hides behind the natural beauty that should bring peace. Let's begin this journey and see if you can survive the horrors that await. After Rinto's family moved into a new house, various strange events began to appear and spread terror. It all started with Vaninis, their youngest child, who often disappeared at dusk. "How is it, sir? Is everything ready?" Rinto asked a middle-aged man wearing a black leather jacket. "Yes, sir. The entire house has been renovated. Only the back door still needs repair," replied the man, Mr. Agus. "Oh, I'm not too worried about the door. If I have free time, I'll try to fix it myself. But the well water machine is working well, right? And the electricity is ready, right?" "Yes, sir. Everything is ready," said Mr. Agus. "Good. Oh yes, the plan is for my family and I to move this week. If you're not busy, maybe we can ask for a little help," said Rinto. Mr. Agus took a deep breath and looked at Rinto, who was still busy typing on his laptop. "Are you sure you want to move into that house, Mr. Rinto?" asked Mr. Agus carefully. Rinto turned his head and smiled. "Of course, sir. The house is now my responsibility. Besides, my wife will be more comfortable living there. The fresh mountain air will help her recover." Mr. Agus sighed again. "But Mr. Rinto, you know, the house is far from the city. It will be difficult to buy daily necessities. Besides, the house has not been lived in for a long time. Maybe there is something occupying it now," he said with an increasingly serious tone. Mr. Agus is indeed good at scaring people. "But I don't believe in mystical things like that," Rinto said casually. "What you don't see doesn't mean they don't exist. Our world and their world are only separated by a very thin wall," Mr. August said in a mysterious tone. Rinto just nodded with a smile. "I won't be able to accompany Mr. Rinto to the new house because on Saturday I have an assignment out of town. But my younger brother, Ilham, can help take him and clean up," said Mr. August. "Okay, sir. That's okay. Thank you for your help so far," said Rinto as he handed a thick white envelope to Mr. Agus. "Yes, you're welcome, sir. It's my job. If anything happens, please call the regular number," replied Mr. Agus with a stiff smile. After Mr. Agus left, Rinto went back to his work. He had to finish all their moving documents immediately. Meanwhile, Deva, Rinto's wife, and their children were already waiting in the yard, along with the goods transport car. "Well, everything has been ready for a while," called Deva, who was getting impatient. "Wait a minute. Dev, replied Rinto as he locked the door of the house. The trip to their new house would take quite a long time. If you want to go to the bathroom, now is the time. It will be difficult to find a public toilet on the way, said Rinto, looking at each of his children before they got into the car. After an hour of travel, Deva began to feel restless. Well, what's wrong, Dev? Rinto asked without taking his focus off the road. Is the road home still far? Deva asked, feeling like we had been on the road for too long. At most another half hour, Dev. Why do I need to pee? No, my back is just cramping from sitting for too long, Deva complained as she stretched her body. Rinto smiled. Their car began to enter a rocky road. After passing the last threat, the paved road had been replaced by a road full of dust and rocks. As time went on, the sunlight was increasingly blocked by the thick wild trees along the side of the road. The atmosphere became tense, and Deva, Rini, and Fani began to feel uncomfortable. Why does it feel like I'm angry? Rini whispered. There hasn't been anyone passing by since earlier, Deva added as she checked her cell phone. There's no signal either, she said in an anxious tone. Rinto looked back. This is a forest road, Rid. It's natural there's no signal, but there will be one at home, even though you have to go out first if you want to find a signal. Dad is joking, right? Deva complained. I can't live without updating my status. At that time, Vaninis, who was sitting by the window, suddenly pointed at a large tree on the side of the road. Dad, who's that? She asked with a curious face. Rini, who heard it, immediately answered in a casual tone. Kuntilanak, maybe. How can there be a ghost this early in the day? Deva replied. What Vanini saw was probably someone looking for mushrooms or hunting. Not long after, their car stopped suddenly. A large tree had fallen, blocking the road. Rinto and the truck drivers got out to see the problem. There's always something wrong, Rini muttered in annoyance. Rinto, along with Ilham, Pak Aga's brother, tried to move the tree. However, their efforts were in vain. I think it needs to be cut down first, sir, Ilham said. Rinto nodded. There's a saw in the toolbox, just take it. They started cutting down the tree using simple tools, while Deva, Rini, and Fani got out of the car and sat on the side of the road, wearing sandals. Their mother remained in the car with the door open. After almost 2 hours of cutting and clearing the tree, they finally managed to remove the obstacle. With their clothes soaked with sweat, they took a short break before continuing their journey. When the car started moving again, Deva looked out the window and saw several small houses like huts on the side of the road. In front of the houses, several elderly people were sitting quietly, staring at their convoy of cars with a sharp turn. Why are there only old people here? No children? Rini asked in surprise. Maybe their children live in the village, while this is their garden, Deva replied while pointing towards the elderly. After going through several obstacles and slopes, they finally arrived at their new house. The house had a very large yard, many times larger than their house in the city. The house looked simple, but beautiful and neat with expensive ironwood walls. Deva and Rini were even more amazed when they entered the house. The kitchen yard was spacious, surrounded by unique fences, and from there they were presented with a green view of the trees and charming hills. Deva enjoyed the fresh morning in her new house. With a plate of breakfast and a cup of hot chocolate, she felt everything was perfect. Wow, early in the morning like this, while drinking aneh and eating indomie soup with boiled eggs, there's no other place like it. Deva exclaimed with a smile. However, her mother reminded her, "Deva, please take your little sister's rabbit and cat out of the car." "Yes, Mom," Deva replied as she got out. She took Fani's pet rabbit and cat, then put them on the kitchen floor. Oddly, the two animals did not run around like usual. Instead, they were quiet and occasionally made angry sounds. "Why are they angry?" Fani asked in confusion. "Maybe they're not used to the new house yet," Deva replied, trying to calm her sister down. Approaching dusk, the things had been taken out of the car, and Ilham and his friends started to go home. After everyone left, a comfortable feeling was felt in their house. But because they were tired, Rinto's family fell asleep soundly until morning. The next morning, Deva's mother woke up early and cooked breakfast. On the dining table, there were fried eggs and a large bowl of indomie soup. Deva, Rini, and Fani began to eat their breakfast with gusto. "Mom, where's Dad?" asked Deva. "Maybe he's out back, refueling the generator," replied her mother while feeding Fani's cat and rabbit. "Mom, today I want to go for a walk around here. I want to get to know the new environment better," requested Deva. "Yes, you can, just be careful. Don't damage or disturb anything that doesn't belong to you," said her mother. After breakfast, Deva immediately left the house. She rode her bicycle while playing music from her cell phone. The thin fog that still covered the road and the cold mountain air made her grateful that she was wearing a thick jacket. As she pedaled her bicycle further, she passed an old man carrying a hoe. "Good morning, Grandpa," greeted Deva in a friendly manner. But the old man only watched her without smiling. "Yard, don't come here," he suddenly snapped, startling Deva. "Oh my, what's wrong with this Grandpa?" Deva muttered while rubbing his chest. "You're dead. You're dead," the Grandpa shouted again, brandishing his hoe angrily. Deva, frightened, immediately moved away. He saw from afar that the Grandpa was still staring intently. With the fog getting thicker and the road ahead getting darker, Deva decided to turn around. However, the fear that the strange Grandpa was still waiting for him made him hesitate. While pedaling slowly, Deva stopped occasionally to take photos of the scenery. In the middle of his activity, he was lying on two green lizards scattered on a tree. Suddenly, a woman's scream was heard echoing around the forest. Deva immediately turned his head, looking in all directions. "Rini, don't joke around," he shouted, thinking that his sister was hiding. However, there was no answer. Across the road, the bushes began to sway as if something was moving behind them.